Hi everyone, Jim here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a couple of books that I've read recently. I want to do a bit of a, not quite an in-depth review of them, but I want to give you my general overview of these two books that I've read recently and that I really enjoyed. So the first book I want to share with you that I read recently is Operation Breakthrough by Dan J. Marlowe. Now this features his character Drake, who was featured in actually about 12 books. And I don't have them all. This is the first one I've ever read of his, and I really enjoyed the book. Now, Drake is a character who's, what I gather from the book, he's a professional thief who occasionally is contracted to work for the U.S. Treasury Department. And maybe other departments within the United States as well. Now, this book starts out with him and a Treasury Department agent stealing documents from a bank vault in Nassau, Bahamas. Now, I don't think at the point he realizes what he's stealing. That's left up to the Treasury agent who he's worked with before, knows what he's stealing. But at this point, Drake doesn't know what they're taking out of the vault. As they're stealing the documents from the bank vault, things go south real quick and they set off alarms, and there's policemen waiting for them up on the roof of the building. Drake manages to escape with the briefcase of documents that they've stolen, but the U.S. Treasury agent gets arrested and put into a Nassau jail. So Drake doesn't realize right away what he's stolen, but he finds out later that they are documents from the criminal syndicate, from the mafia, essentially. And so he's got the cops coming after him. He's got the mafia coming after him. And so he has to escape the city. He has to escape Nassau while all these guys are on his tail with the documents. But he makes it to the States, and he wants to get rid of these documents to the U.S. Treasury, but he doesn't know who to give them to because the agent who was arrested and who was still back in Nassau was the one who had all the information and knew what had to be done with the documents. So, you know, to make a long story short, he has to go back to Nassau and break his buddy, his U.S. Treasury buddy, out of the jail, and while avoiding the mafia and the cops all at the same time. It's actually a very exciting story. I really enjoyed it, and of course, as you can tell by the cover, it's typical, 1970s men's adventure, full of gratuitous sex and violence, and yeah, it's I'm gonna keep an eye out for more of these. I really enjoyed it. Now the character Drake reminds me a little bit of Mac Bolan, the Executioner, because in the early books, in this book, he keeps mentioning that he's had face surgery to alter his face. So, which Mac Bolan had to do in one of his earlier adventures. I think it was number 3, Death Mask, and so it's got a lot in common with the Executioner series, but it's a little bit better written, in my opinion, than the Mac Bolan books, which I enjoy very much. But this is worth a look, and I think they were published by Fawcett Gold Medal over here in the States. Coronet, I do believe, is a British publisher, but that's just a great cover. And as I said, I'm going to keep an eye out for more of these, and hopefully I can, find more of the Coronet ones, but, I would pick up the Fawcett Gold Medal editions as well. They're a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed him. So the next book I read is Coward's Kiss by Lawrence Block. Now, you would think that this would be a Matt Scudder novel or a Bernie Rodenbar novel or an Evan Tanner novel, but it's not. This is New York private investigator Ed London. Now, Lawrence Block wrote this one and I think 2 other novellas in the 60s. This one was written in 1961. And it's a bit of a precursor to his Matt Scudder character, who, as you all know, I mean, if you're into the character, into the writer, know that Matt Scudder lives in New York. And I really enjoyed this. Now, Again, not to give too many things away, Matt Scudder, or I'm calling him Matt Scudder, but his name's Ed London. Ed London's brother-in-law comes to him and he says that he's in trouble and that he has found his mistress murdered in an apartment that he rented for her. And again, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of twists and turns in here, a lot of very, very interesting characters. Now, Lawrence Block, even back in the day, he's all about these kind of quirky characters, and I really enjoyed this. And I think there's a collection of the Ed London stories out there. I think there was only 3 or 4 written, which is kind of a shame because I really enjoyed this. But again, we've got Matt Scudder. I mean, without this character, I don't think maybe we would have had Matt Scudder. But yeah, so that was a very enjoyable book, and this is from, is this a Mysterious Press book? No, Carolyn Graff Mystery. But I picked that up a while ago and I read it recently. It's a real quick read, real small book. Took me a day to read, if that, and highly recommended. As I said in one of my other videos earlier, 2 or 3 back, I think I said that I'm not really going to do book haul videos per se, but I would tack on some books that I hauled at the end of a certain video. So I have a few books I'm going to show you. I was out today and I was out yesterday and I grabbed a few books and I just want to share them with you here real quick. I'll just go through them real quick. I got a nice old paperback of Cleopatra with that very cool cover, and that's written by Emil Ludwig, and it's a Bantam biography. And that's just a beautiful old paperback book. And that was a very cool find. I got a few TV adaptations, which I kind of, when I see them at the store, and it's one you don't see too often, I kind of snag them. I kind of hate to leave them back at the store. So I got a Lost adaptation called Secret Identity by Kathy Hapka. Now, this doesn't feature, the main character in here isn't one of the characters from the TV show. It's kind of a new character, one of the other passengers on the flight. And it kind of tells his story. It's called an original novel based on the hit TV series. So that was kind of, I wasn't going to leave that back there at the store. That was kind of a cool find. Then I've got these two, which again, they're adaptations of a movie franchise. I've got Halloween Ends in really good shape, and this is by Paul Brad Logan. And I think Halloween Ends was the actual movie that Jamie Lee Curtis did. I think that was the title of it. And then there's kind of a follow-up to it called Halloween Kills. And that's by Tim Wagner. These are in really good shape. And I saw them there on the shelf and I said, okay, I can't leave them back there. I can't leave them back there. So, I grabbed them, I snagged those. Now these next two, I love, Victorian history. And I got these 2 books. I've got a few of these Pelican books on my shelf about history books throughout the decades. And this one is called Victorian Cities by Asa Briggs. Now I really like these Pelican books. These history books. They're very informative, very nice copies. And I love to refer to them now and then. So this, as the title states, talks about Victorian cities. And yeah, that's just in perfect shape. And these are from, I think when were these from? This specific copy is from 1968. So for a 1968 copy, that's in pretty good shape. And the next one I have is by the author Barbara W. Tuchman. Now, I've read her before. I had a copy of A Distant Mirror by her. I had a first edition hardcover, and I loved that book, and I ended up getting rid of it. I don't know why. I have these bouts of insanity every now and then, and I get rid of books, and then I regret it after. But I really did love that book, and I got this one called The Proud Tower by Barbara Tuchman, and this is a portrait of the world before the war, before the First World War. And that's a very cool find, again, in really good shape. It's a Bantam book, and I love the Victorian era. There's something about it that, I don't know, is very comforting to me. I think because I probably started reading Sherlock Holmes as a kid, and it just it's an era that I'm very comfortable with, and I like to revisit. So that was a nice find. Now here's another movie adaptation, the movie version of The Postman Always Rings Twice by James M. Cain, and it's a very, very small paperback. But I like James M. Cain. I've read him before, so that was kind of a nice find. And for those who don't know, I'm a huge Edgar Rice Burroughs fan. I've got multiple copies of the Tarzan books, the John Carter books. I've got like most of the old Ace editions, but every now and then I still pick up one that I haven't got. I've got The Son of Tarzan in different editions, but I don't think I have it in this edition. So I saw that at the thrift store today, and I thought I'd pick it up. And that was just a very cool find. I love the Tarzan stories. I love Edgar Rice Burroughs, so that was nice to find. Now I picked up, I have most of the Louis L'Amour books, the Westerns, but there's about 7 or 8 I don't have. I actually found one that I don't have today, and that's Dark Canyon, and that's a Kilkenny novel. So I was happy to find that one, and that's one more that I can check off my list for Louis L'Amour. And I love these editions with those paintings, just beautiful. I was happy to find it. And I have, of course, I can't leave the store without a Sherlock Holmes book. I'm trying to get the complete Grafton collection of the Sherlock Holmes stories. So that's the Hound of the Baskervilles. That gives me 3 that I have now: The Valley of Fear, Hound of the Baskervilles, and I think The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. But these are just cool, editions with pictures from the TV show with Jeremy Brett. So that was a nice find, really good shape. Now we get into some 80s kind of fiction, and that's by Vendetta by Steve Shagan. And these old 80s paperbacks I try to pick up when I can. This was written in 1986, and Steve Shagan is better known for writing, I think, Hustle, the movie with Burt Reynolds back in the day. So that was kind of a neat thing to find, and I snagged that one. And then we have one of these shiny 1980s paperbacks, After the First Death by Robert Cormier. And I don't know too much about it, but it looks intriguing, so I thought I'd pick it up. Then I have another, 1980s, pretty sure it's a horror novel or some kind of murder mystery horror thing called Brother and Sister by Michael Nicolay. And I have a feeling the cover probably gives away the twist of the book, but it's in really good shape. And this one was written in 1979. This is from the 70s. Really good shape. And I saw that there, and I said, okay, man, that looks pretty good, actually. So I'll check that one out. And I finally got a good copy of King Rat. I've been wanting to get this for a long time. I read Shogun in high school. I think it was grade 10 I read Shogun. And I've been wanting to get a decent copy of King Rat, and this is a pretty decent copy. And it matches my Shogun edition that I have in paperback. So that was a great find by James Clavell. And that's it. That's it for my for the book haul books and those 2 books that I reviewed. I hope you enjoyed that kind of general review that I gave. on those two books, and I'm going to try to do more of that as I read, and I feel that it's a book that I want to let you know about. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a lot more of that on the channel, and hopefully I'll get better at it as I go. But yeah, that's it for me. You guys take care. I'll talk to you soon. You keep reading.